All right, so let me know if you can hear me pretty well, or if not. How's the sound quality?
Sounds great.
Awesome,
Very
awesome.
nice, very nice.
Let's see. Cool. All right, so the cool. So that's the prelude. Um, so a few things about this, I think that'll help. Is I talked about this in my YouTube video about focusing on the emotion and how that will help allow us to focus more on the cello suite. So a lot of the I think the main issue is just nerves with the suite, and what happens is we focus on the bowings and the fingering. So like and then we get too caught up in like the technicalities. And my thing is just after if you've practiced it and you know the suite, then focus on the main idea and trying to make people feel happy in the audience. So and just focusing on that emotion. And what this allows us to do is to put ourselves in the audience member's shoes. So it's like we're taking our own self, and then we're projecting that onto the audience. So it's like we're performing for our own self. So does anybody have any questions about that? I know that's kind of woo-woo, or little out there. But if anybody has any questions about that, would like me to clarify, I'd love to do so.
Do you use Alexander technique?
No, I don't. But that was a big thing at my school, though. Everybody was doing the Alexander technique. Right, Mark. Mark, I think he watched my YouTube video about that. The doctrine of affections. So for those of you who missed that video I made on YouTube about the Bach Cello Suite, there was this movement in the Baroque era, which is, I believe, around it was in the 1700s. And their philosophy, when Baroque composers like Bach were writing music, the philosophy was to use the music as a tool to draw out emotions from the listener. And so that's why I say, to approach the suite, it's always a good thing to think about, what emotion you're trying to evoke. Obviously, people have their different opinions about how the cello suite should sound as far as emotionally wise. Some people may think, it's supposed to sound like rage. I don't know. That's totally fine and up to you. And some people think it should sound more, sounds of happiness and church-like. No, but be specific about what you want as far as emotions. And that way, as a listener, I will be able to feel something, which is the whole point of going to a concert. So, how to make these choices, Andrew says. Well, when I don't really make this, when I make the choice of, how I should make the audience feel, that's a hard one, because as far as choices as to how the suite should feel emotionally wise, I think that's more of a personal choice that you should ask yourself. I can't make the choice for you, but as far as how do I make choices in general about how I feel about the piece, I think that's up to you, Andrew. So, hope that answers your question. I see the Bach Cello Suites as a progression through baths of life. Like, you can really hear the youth in the first suite. Yeah, that's a good point, Aaron. So, as the suites progress, it does get more complicated, musically wise. And once we get to the sixth suite, it's pretty big stuff. So I totally agree with that. Like we said about making the audience feel, Andrew. Yep, Bach's. Can you talk about your bow hold for Bach? Yes, Jose. How do you keep the flow while dealing with large shifts? Well, I'll talk about both of those. So bow hold for Bach, So for those of you who don't know, I'm pretty famous for. The reason why I say famous is because I've gotten criticism on my Facebook videos when I post my own compositions and music. And I've even had one teacher say that he will do whatever it takes to stop his students from watching my videos because my bow hold is a bad influence. So let that sink in. So that's why I say I'm pretty famous for my controversial bow hold. That being said, I tend to change the bow hold for different circumstances. And that can be seen as going against the rules. But as far as I see it, I think it's an advantage when playing certain pieces that require a certain amount of, light playing or intense playing. So for the Bach bow hold, I'll call it the Bach bow hold. And basically, I won't tell you what I'm doing with my hands, but what I'm thinking about is a more loose bow hold, right? So, that means, when I move the bow like this and kind of testing it out, I should be able to move my hands a little bit, like that, so. And the reason why I do that is not because I was told to do it. It's for practical reasons. It's because for the first movement of the suite, I want to achieve a light sound, because the way I feel about this piece is I want to make the audience float. And to do that, I have a more loose bow hold to achieve that goal of making the audience float. So when you guys are thinking about what should I do technically wise or bow hold wise, in my opinion, I think first starting with what should I make the audience feel? You know, starting there and then saying, okay, how can I achieve that goal, right? Some of you want to play the Bach Cello Suite much differently than I do, and that's totally okay. But the question is, if you're going to make it sound like Rage, then ask yourself, how am I going to evoke emotions of Rage technically wise? Maybe you want a more stronger bow hold or something. You know, that's another way to play it, like maybe more force. That's another way of playing, and it's fine. But I'm not just playing it just to be playing it intense. My idea is I want to make the audience sound more grounded in their seat, you know? And so I'm playing much more rhythmically on point, and that's why I changed my bow hold from this loose grip to a more how do you say, more grip, as I should say, or more tense, you know. And notice I'm doing vibrato too to achieve that emotion. So that's a very long answer to your question. I think Andrew asked that. So, Sergey, he says, my cello teacher told me your hand is great. I'm not sure what you mean, Sergey. Are you saying my hand is great or your hand is great? Moscow Conservatory, though. That's must be pretty late in Moscow. Mad props for making it. Can you speak of your articulation choices on the prelude? When to slur, when to not. There are so many variety of choices out there in the world. Exactly, Lewis. And like I was saying before, and you probably know what I'm going to say, to approach anything in music, you know, you got to know what you want emotionally. Why? So I can tell you what I would do, but it's just the way I would do it to achieve my idea in my head. You can play it like all four. I'll slur it in fours. Or you can do it separate. You know? And, you know, the separate thing kind of gives more freedom because you have more control over the distance between each note in relation to the slurred and forward. It's kind of more fluid. And the way I see it, you have less control, but if you want to sound more fluid, if that's what you want, then do it. How do you feel about vibrato for Bach? I've been told by my professors that one should avoid vibrato for Baroque music, or at least keep it conservative. Yeah, Aaron. So, as we all know, in the Baroque era, vibrato wasn't very popular until the Romantic era. At least that's what I was taught in music history. And, you know, some people like to honor that as far as performance practice. You know, should we play Baroque music in the Baroque style? I mean, sorry. I think so. That's like taking a piece of music that, a famous pop song, Justin Bieber. I'm sure we're all familiar with Justin Bieber. He sings in a certain style, and we have to ask ourselves 100 years later, if you guys were to make a cover, well, I don't think we'll be live in 100 years, let's be honest, but theoretically speaking, 100 years from now, if someone were to look back at Justin Bieber, a pop singer, and try to make a cover out of it, would they play it in the Baroque style? One of his songs. What's the Justin Bieber song? I don't know. I don't want to embarrass myself by singing "Baby" by Justin Bieber. But imagine, like, singing that in the Baroque style. So it's always good to honor the style. But as far as vibrato, I think it's nice to have a conservative use of vibrato, and I think that was normal in the Baroque era to have just like a little bit of a wiggle to help project the sound, not for dramatic sake, but to help project. I personally don't use vibrato in the first suite unless it's like a long note. So that's my view on that. For me, the boho looks like a French school I know, and I use. Yes, more grip than usuals. Cool. Bad Boys of bass cover, baby, better than he can do. Do you use Baroque bows? I've never used a Baroque bow in my life, but I think that'll be kind of cool. So, any other questions about the first suite? Sorry, the prelude to the first suite before we move on to the Alarmand. Nothing? All right, I'll move to the next movement. That is the Allemand to the first suite. See if we have any questions. You practice the end of the prelude. I'll get to that after the Allemand. Does anyone have any questions about that? About the Allemand? Turn my volume. Can you talk about the trills in this movement? Of course. There's many ways of doing a trill. You can do or something like that, but I tend to keep it pretty standard for every single trill I do in the cello suite. So, but sometimes you can just get away with. So, I don't really have much to say about trills. I mean, it's an embellishment to make the notes sound fancy. So, you can do all sorts of stuff. So, what are the advantages of playing the low G and E on with your thumb? Low G and E. Oh, are you talking about this part? You're talking about this note, which is an F sharp in my tuning, but oh, it's just convenience, really. You can obviously do that, but if you could do thumb vibrato. If you do that, that's why I do it. It's just for convenience. So I'm not moving way too much up and down the fingerboard to allow me to play better intonation. So what's the best Bach 1 suite? Start with G scale, or what's best for Bach 1 suites? Okay, start with G scale or start in thumb position. Start with G scale or start in thumb position. What do you mean by that, Jose? You talking about a warm up, or did you prefer the low note or high, or it depends on the exact place? Sergi. Oh, are you talking about the? Okay, so a lot of people are having questions about this part. No, honestly, I prefer the low one here. Because you can get a nice vibrato, which I know someone asked about vibrato and Bach. That's a spot where I would use vibrato, but you can do it very Baroque style like this. I tend to use vibrato in the Allemand, but that's just a style choice. Because the way I view the Allemand is kind of a singing quality to it. I hear a voice when I hear the Allemand, so that's why I do vibrato there. But you can do no vibrato if you want. But to answer your question, Sergi, that's why I prefer that. I just do the thumb because it's more convenient. I would like to know about your choices of rhythmic inflections in terms of phrasing. Sounds beautiful. Thanks, Zachary. So yeah, this one, the Allemand is kind of out there as far as rhythm. So you can play it straight. one way of playing it, but as far as rhythm, the way I view this Alaman is I like to allow the hall to ring a lot in this one. So when I'm playing this, and especially if it's a hall that's like a church setting, I like to let the notes kind of open up to create that open sound. I feel like that's what Bach had in mind with the Alaman. It's to open the nasals, like open your body, like, and that's kind of how I approach it. Right? You can kind of hear the open G or A ring when you play that low one. I like to hear that ring. I also, when I hear certain, like, when I hear certain patterns, I like to bring them out. And I like to do that to kind of let the audience to know that there's certain patterns in this piece that you should know about. So, yeah. Do you think about harmony behind the melody to make your interpretation, or do you just let it flow natural? I do think about the harmony, yeah. So, yeah, correct. So, like, in the second part. Kind of changes there harmonic-wise. And I kind of let it sit. Because it's an arrival point to the next harmonic part. So yeah, I do think about the harmony. Do you generally use vibrato in slower movements of Bach? Yes, correct, Aaron. I do use vibrato more. Whenever I feel like it's like a singing kind of thing, I do it. But for a faster one, where there's less emphasis on like kind of the voice, I don't worry about vibrato. So, but if I hear that voice in my head, I'm going to wiggle my fingers. That's just the way it is. I like to have that natural human voice project through this instrument, so the audience can connect with something. Do you have fixed bowing you have been working on there, or do you flow more freely or recording? I'm gonna get a little advanced about the bowing. Okay, so there's a lot of questions about the bowing. So here's a more complicated way of thinking about it, but makes sense if you think about it. I know I said in certain movements, in certain pieces, I use a certain bow hold. Well, in certain parts of the piece, in the movement, like for example the Alaman, sometimes I will do variations of that bow hold to achieve a certain sound. Sometimes I feel more more rigid in certain parts of the music and less free. So I'll kind of grip it more, and maybe I'll move my finger up here to get more of a pressed sound, more pressure, to get that certain sound that I want. But sometimes I'll play much lighter, say for the second time in the second repeat. Then I'll change the bow hold to something more light. Maybe I'll even move it up a bit to a more Baroque style. Maybe I'll do that, but it depends on how I feel, right? So the bow hold changes a lot depending on the feeling I'm trying to express. Hi, how would you initially practice it if you were learning it for the first time? The best way is, I think, to do it more rhythmically as possible, so you understand the foundation of the movement, and then when you're ready, you can, be more free and make decisions, knowing that you know the foundation of the piece. So it's like you're trying to speak a language without knowing the fundamentals of the language. You only know certain phrases, and that metaphor I'm trying to get at is some people listen to a recording online and they think, oh, that's the way I'm going to play it, but they don't actually know the foundation of the movement. So that's why I say it's good to know the rhythm, the exact rhythm and everything that has to do with that. Do you change the bowing decision during performance, depending? Yes, I do. Yeah, I do change bowings during the performance. Sometimes I change my fingerings during the performance. Sometimes things happen where I lose track of what I'm doing as far as muscle memory, so I have to be able to adjust at all times. So that's kind of a normalcy to expect during the performance. Murphy's Law, I'm sure you know. What is it? If it can go wrong, it can go wrong, right? I find that true. Huh?
Can you show us? Can you play a little bit of the opening of the Allemande with a right side profile of your posture to the camera?
Like this?
Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay.
Yes.
What are you trying to focus on, or just want a different angle?
I'm trying to understand your ease and effortlessness of posture. And we only see you from the front, and I'd like to maybe see you from the side, the right side profile.
Oh, absolutely. Let me do some adjustments here. All right. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great. It looks like you have this this weight and balance relationship with your bass that I'm trying to tap into.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not really thinking about any of these things. I'm just trying to, get that certain sound in my head. So there's a lot of different things I do, I guess. Yeah. Sometimes I'll get really inspired during performance, and I'll kind of see something in my head, like in the end. And I'll kind of try to make that mountain motion, that dun 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 dun. And look at my bow hole right now. Look at what I did there. And now the reason why I did that is not because I decided to do it. I guess it was a decision, but the idea is I want it to sound like the bow is resting on a string on the end. Because I want to make the audience feel like it's time to rest. You know, so my bow hold is whack, I'm telling you. But wacky for a good reason, practical reason. How do you practice bow technique? So many bow questions. I don't really practice bow technique. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of things, sometimes based on inspiration, sometimes practical reasons, and it's like very fluid what I'm doing. I guess when you're first starting bass, I guess it's always good to start somewhere, right? You have to start somewhere when you start bass. But then the question is, do we keep doing what we started with? And should we question the bow hold, or should we just leave it as it is because it's the way it is? That's the way we accept it. So that's my take on that. As far as do I practice bow technique? Anything else before we move on to the Quran? Bum 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 bum. Da 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 dum bum ba da dum bum dee dum. Maybe I'll play it differently, you know? All right, that's the Quran. Is there a difference when you play in an orchestra, bow-wise? Last time I played in an orchestra was a while, but when I was at the music school, and when we did orchestral excerpts, like, sorry, I'm kind of getting off topic, but I think he raises a good question. Orchestral excerpts versus solo, you know. Let's see, you know, for something like that, yeah. I think it's the same principle, actually. You know, for something like a Brahms symphony, I changed the bow hold to fit the articulation, which is kind of a lot of articulations like bum, dum, bum, 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 versus I shift my hand back this way for this because I want to get that loose feeling for that. I want to make it sound easy and effortless. So I guess the more easy and effortless I want this to sound, the more I'm kind of pushing my hand from like this to here. It's like I'm using a switch. So, I'm like throwing the bow. I want to throw the bow. That's kind of what I want to do in this movement. It's like so easy and effortless. So that's kind of my take on that. How do you go about evoking different feelings in your audience through your technical phrasing choices? So a good way to answer this, Giselle, is I think of the music like a painting. And the phrasing is like brush marks in this painting. So in the Quran, when I'm singing this, I'm sort of like singing it this way, like a painting. Bum, 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 bum. Like someone skipping down the stairwell. Bum, 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 bum. Ba-da, 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 bum, bum, bum. Ba-da, bum, 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 bum. Ba-da, 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 bum, bum, bum. Ba-da, 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 be-da, dee-da, dee-da, be-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da, bum, 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 bum. So yeah, as you can see, I'm doing a lot of hand motions to kind of tell you what I'm seeing as far as visually in my head. And the idea is to translate that into music. So phrasing-wise, for the beginning, the way I achieve this is by manipulating my sound production. Something like Victoria. So what I mean by that is, as far as sound level, I manipulate it to where it kind of sounds like you're going down the stairwell by doing like a diminuendo in the phrase. Bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-bum, bum, bum. And in that part, I'm doing increased bow speed to make it sound like I'm retaking the phrase. So, I think that answers your question, Giselle, as to how I evoke different feelings in your audience through technical and phrasing choices. It's like painting a picture, but with bowings and sound. Your whole body moves when you are playing. Do you think your way of playing would work if your body was stable? That's a good question. If I were to pre-plan the way I play Bach, like if I just pre-planned everything, yeah, it could work. But the thing about when I play is I get inspired during my performances. So when I move to the left, or if I move to the right, that means I'm trying to achieve a certain sound in my playing. And I'm kind of trying to, translate how I feel when I move through my playing. So, no, sorry. I'm sort of like playing around here. I know, but yeah, if I were to, let's see if I can. I guess the technique is there, but I'm not feeling inspired, and I'm not able to do a lot of these musical things that I would otherwise do if I allowed myself to move more freely. Now, there's a way of moving and making it not look so bad, and I think that's the trick, to kind of move with class, sometimes I get carried away. Sometimes other artists, like Joshua Bell, I mean, I'm okay with how he moves. A lot of people have a problem with Joshua Bell and how he moves. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool because you can kind of see like what he's doing phrasing wise, you know. You know, I saw him perform the Franck violin sonata, and he was playing the fourth movement. So it was like. The way he was playing this note, it was like he was trying to float, like playing against like floating water, and that kind of made me feel nice. You know, when I'm playing, I'm kind of moving my toes there. I'm trying to make a floating, like, yeah, I'm trying to make you lift, you know? And what it does, it allows me to be really present to the moment with the music. And kind of like be really in like the time, like, it's like I'm defying time, you know? Yeah, I know. But yeah, so you know, this one. I'll kind of move like this to get that. You know, so one could argue that I'm using my body to make a certain sound, not just my bow hold or the way I curve my fingers on the fingerboard, but sometimes I use my body to make a certain sound. Trying to get that, you know, I don't know. What do you guys think? How do you recommend? It's a joy to see you enjoying the music you play. That too. I mean, people just like people have fun on stage, and that's always nice too. How do you recommend to practice cleanliness and clarity for this movement? Good question. I think the best way to practice slow and then work it up. Pretty basic advice there, I think, as far as cleanliness. Clarity for this music. And that's cleanliness and clarity. So I think one of the problems Victorious, is that how you say your name? Is that with the bow crossings, we kind of, you know, I guess the bow crossings could be a pain. And then all of this stuff going on. So I think the slow practice definitely helps. And also playing it in a realistic tempo too. If you play it too fast like that, it's just kind of impossible to do all of these jumps. So, you know, that's my opinion on that. I do not think X moves too much. He embodies the music, as we all should. I agree. Our bodies respond to music while listening to it and while playing it. No reason to avoid that. Sure. Or remove. Is that why you prefer playing the bass standing? Oh yeah, definitely Jungwoo. I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. Jungwoo. Yeah, that's why I stand. It also helps my back. I tend to slouch when I sit and play, so it's kind of a long-term thing. You know, as I get older, I don't want any problems, back problems. Most Baroque is meant to dance. True. Theo is right. These are Baroque dances. However, I heard from a source, I was just doing some research in Baroque dances before this class started, and this cellist was doing an interview from a Baroque dancer, and he said that a lot of these suites a lot of these movements are a bit too slow to dance to. I don't know if that's true or not. He was a broke dancer, so I thought that was interesting. And then he said, the cello suites, the way cellos play are so fast. Wait, what was he saying? I think he was saying the way we play it is so fast that it's hard to dance. I think that's what he said. Something about the tempo, and it doesn't match the dance. And he said, maybe just not worry about the dance aspect, but have that in the back of your head. I'd recommend doing some research on that. There's a lot of information about that out there, and a lot of different opinions. A lot of different opinions on that. So I don't want to get too much into it, because I am not a broke dance expert. Didn't go to school for that. Cool. I think next is the Sarabande. Oh. Wish I could sustain that more. And then love the transition to that next one. Someone had a question about where to put the beats in the Alman. This is one where I don't really think too much about the beats, but I'm trying to make an open sound like in the Alman as a contrast to the rhythmic Quran. So I think the normal way. Notice how I played what I just saw, right? So yeah, I think that's the way to do it. If you can sing the what you were trying to play and incorporating that second beat as the emphasis, I think that'll work out. So whoever asked that question, where to put the second beat, I think that'll help. I wish one of my complaints about my bow, this is my Coda bow that I got from the International Society of Bassists competition, I think 2008 or something like that. It was a while ago. It was a young man. Some bows tend to be on the shorter side, which means less sustain. And for this movement, I definitely want to have more sustain. So if you have that longer bow, as a way of playing this, I think you can take advantage of your entire bow to get that open sound. The way I view this one is to evoke sounds of sustain. You know, it's like you're singing, but playing it on the bass. How do you practice repetitions? Do you have different possibilities to practice? I don't have them practice. I don't have preset kind of things. I don't do the preset things. I know that's kind of a more safe approach. I do take risks when I play, and that's one of them. Sometimes I'll do embellishments that I've never done before, and I have done. And you know, it can be risky, but if you're used to it, go for it. So I like to improvise sometimes when I play these things. So you know, let's see. I don't know, but as you can see, I changed my bowing to get a different kind of thing. You know, I normally do up, down. But this time I think I did something like to really bring out that chord. That more ring, lifts. Totally improvised, you know, to get that different sound that I was hearing in my head. So, if you want to practice repetitions, go for it. I don't see why not. But if you're comfortable doing some kind of improvisational playing, go for it too. And the audience can hear your ideas too. I know it's kind of hard to believe, but if you have an idea, and if you're doing your best to achieve that idea, the audience can pick up on it. They're like, oh, okay, this sounds more improvisational. And it gets them more interested in what you're playing, because it's like, ooh, what's he going to do next? Rather than just having the audience sit there and hear the same thing over and over, it's kind of get a little sleepy. We don't want that. As far as the Sarabande, there's not much to say about this one. I mean, it's slow, and it's really up to you as far as what you want. As far as the sound, there's many possibilities. One thing I like about this movement is it's a very nice contrast to the next movement, which is the minuet. So. Very nice contrast. You use a lot of portato on the Sarabande. Use a lot of portato. Mark, to do something very embarrassing. I kind of forgot what portato means. At first, I thought you said potato. Portato is boring, shitty, extreme, anyways. Ah, dude. Yeah, sometimes some of these things I kind of forget. Yeah, I do use a lot of portato. To get a certain effect. Guys, don't make fun of me, okay? I'm not perfect. So yeah, Mark, you're right. So yeah, the contrast. And for this one, I'll retake the bow to get that. You know, funny thing I do is I put my pinky here to kind of lift the bow. You know, when you do that, you lift the bow like that. You know, so when I do that in the last bow, I have that resting feeling, and then I lift it up with my pinky. So I'm not using my full arm. I feel like I have more control on the release. So it's like a lot more smoother, you know. So that's another bowing thing you can borrow from me. But be careful. You know, this is bowing techniques music professors don't want you to know. You know, I'm sure you've seen those ads on those their internet websites. One trick doctors don't want you to know. So here's the minuet. minuets 1 and 2. Do you use embellishments on repeats primarily? Yes, correct. I do use repeats on embellishments on the repeat primarily. Reason being is to make more of a contrast between the first repeat and the second repeat. So that's definitely a contrast thing for embellishments. It's Mark, I want to make a joke out of that. I know what you mean, though. It is the Baroque thing to do. It is definitely the Baroque thing to do. Any questions about that? I was a little inspired in the end. You know, I was going to places. You know, what was I doing? I really wanted to make it sound like an ending, so I was doing a little build-up. You know, so. What do you decide to play the second minuet? Why did? Now that's something me and my teacher at the Curtis Institute. You know, some of you may know Howell Robinson. We had a discussion about what to do with the minuets as far as the second minuet versus the first minuet. And we were like, okay, so why don't we try, as a contrast, to do a different tempo than the first minuet? And my decision was to play it faster. You know, I had to decide on something because originally I was doing the same tempo. But it's a nice thing to have that contrast between the first and the second. Because it's like a different mood, too, you know. So that's why Vic Pistorius, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, please let me know. Yeah, but it's definitely for contrast. And I tend to play the second minuet more rhythmically for a more contrast difference. It adds the value of the performance. So that's why I do the minuets the way I do it. Any other questions? Do you like Howell Robinson methods? Now, he didn't really teach methods and as far as solo rep when I was in school with Hal, but for orchestral excerpts, of course, yeah, there's a lot of method, 100% method in the orchestral thing, but Hal is a free kind of guy. I don't know much about his method books as far as technique, but he's a nice dude to talk to for ideas. Let's just say that. So I don't know if I know Robinson's method other than the orchestral things that he knows. Boardwalking is good. Mark, what do you mean about what's boardwalking? Man, I'm generation. I don't know. I'm just playing around. Oh, sorry. I thought you were using a term. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know his method books. I know stroking, but I've never seen some of y'all laughing about. Yeah, I don't know the contents of that book, but that's one of the method books I know about that. Stroking and boardwalking. Yep. So the jig. Let's see. Oh, another thing, if we have time, you have a little time. So for the minuet, what am I thinking when I'm playing the minuet? I'm thinking of, it's kind of crazy. I'm thinking of like a very sunny day out in the backyard where there's lots of flowers, yellow flowers. You know, there's a very vivid image, and I'm trying to evoke that, just that lighthearted dum bum bee ba dee da dee da da bum ba da dum ba dee da dee da dee da. You know, and I'm trying to make myself smile. Because if I'm feeling happy, then the audience is feeling that sense of happiness, right? So that's just kind of my idea of playing the minuets. The one, and then the second minuet is more of a kind of a more sorrow emotions. So. So like a more, and like Giselle was saying with the phrasing and the emotions. You know, so we got saying. Giselle is, come on, man. You're funny. Anyone using tail? Oh, dude, tail of bass. Dude, I recently discovered the tail, and his Facebook. Yeah, he's doing a lot of stuff. It's very cool. Big fan. You guys should check out that tail of Facebook. I bought it 2 weeks ago. It's killer, but I love it so far. Me too. It was over that boardwalk, and do you reference anything? The Anna Magdalena bones I've worked on at Curtis, so I might reference them, but not really know about it. So, I have looked at the Anna Magdalena bones. For those of you who don't know, I believe that was Bach's wife, Anna Magdalena. And as far as references for what is the true bowing of Bach, people say to look at Anna Magdalena's bowing, because that's the way, you know. Because there's a lot of Bach experts out there saying that Magdalena would record Bach's music when he played it, and she write. I guess that's the story. If anybody has anything knowledge-wise to chime in about that, let me know. But that's what I've been taught in school, that she recorded Bach's music while Bach himself was improvising his cello suites. I love cello. I fell for free. I felt more free. Great. Awesome. Yeah. I'm going to have to make a tail book. Kind of jealous. She was J.S. Bach's copyist. Yeah. I think so. Let's go to the G. mindset. 'Cause I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah, that's the G. This is one of my favorites, honestly. Xavier, do you miss? What are you talking about, Mark? I miss a few notes. I know what I miss notes, but you can't let that get to you. Because the important thing is the emotion. I've done auditions, some really major. Let me tell you a story, actually. There's this organization called Young Concert Artists. They're a solo management non-profit organization based in New York City. It's one of those things where a lot of young players audition to get management, and that was one of the things I was really really inspired to do when I was in school. So I took the audition. I hope nobody from YC is here. Let me see. But anyways, so I took the audition, and I got in the semifinals, which is a video. So now we're in the finals. Was it semi? There's like 3 rounds. Okay, I was in the second to last round. And I auditioned, went on stage. I played the Saint Songs Cello Sonata number 2, which I think it's number 2, which is something like that. Well, yeah, it was something that's not well known. But I remember taking that audition, and for one of the sections, and like the second part or something, I don't know, I was playing a scale up, like something simple, but every single note in that scale was like a whole step up. Okay, so I completely played all the wrong notes. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Because that was a pretty big major thing to happen. But after I did it, I advanced somehow. And they didn't seem to notice. The people in the jury are not you're not the very serious musicians, okay? But that didn't seem to matter, and that didn't seem to catch their attention. I think it was more of the emotion, because I was really into it, like very intense emotionally wise. So they didn't really hear the notes that I missed, which was like a whole scale, played a whole stuff up. I mean, how can you miss that? But I guess moral of the story, if you pay attention to making the audience feel something, then that will distract them from all the nuances as far as the notes, the bows, and the articulation. So, My favorite part is G. That was full of emotion. But what do you think of Bradishes slurs in G, which make some, I think, yeah, I don't know the Bradishes bowings. And, you know, sometimes, like I say, Sergi, I do different bowings too. Sometimes I'm like, there should be a name for me in the bass community. I'm like the guy that, I'm the outlaw. I'm the rebel. I joined the resistance. You can't make me do what's institutionalized, right? I'm doing a lot of different things. So if there's one thing to remember about me, is that you never have to worry about doing the exact absolute right thing when it comes to playing bass. There's always many ways to approach anything musically. Music is what's important. We are your X-Man and X-Woman and X-Folks. Okay. It's all gender inclusive. Good job, Mark. You passed the 2020 test. Awesome. Any questions about the jig before I go through some other stuff, some fun things? I just had a good time playing the jig. I mean, it's just a fun piece to play. This is one of the movements where I try to make it sound like a dance. I'm trying to make the audience dance. I've done some outreach, which is when you play at schools, like elementary, middle school, high school, and my job was to make the students dance while I play. So that's another exercise you can do. Like if you're someone who does outreach and plays at schools, that's always a nice thing to do. So take this as an idea. So if you're playing for a school and you're playing the G or some kind of Bach Cello Suite, you can ask the students to try to dance while you play. And I mean, I find that this works for very young kids, like elementary school, because I don't know if college kids want to get up and start prancing and dancing around the classroom. So this is definitely something if you do like a school visit to very young and aspiring musicians. All right, I'm gonna put my bass down. Oh boy. So guys, let's talk. I have, a lot of you know that I have the Fiesta carbon fiber bell, but I've always wanted to find an alternative, like a wooden alternative, So for me, as you can see, like, carbon fiber is a nice alternative to wood because it's very, very strong. But as you can see, I sometimes get really carried away. Like I think I whacked this thing during a concerto performance, and I lost a tip to $1,000 bell, which is kind of sucks. Which, by the way, with carbon fiber construction, they use different material for the end part, which is like right here. So just different material used, and then everything here is the main stick, which is very, very strong. So that's probably why this happened. So I don't know. We tend to not play here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But as I was saying, I wanted to find an alternative to carbon fiber. So I have this Pernambuco ball, and I'm thinking of putting this on my website, but I don't have a name for it. So my other bow, which is the, hold on a second. Let's see if I can find it. Which is a Fiesta carbon fiber bow, which has that famous the black hair and white hair. I need to rehear it, but this is called the Fiesta, but I don't know what to call the wood one. So if anybody has suggestions, let me hear it. So, that's all I asked for the free class. I hope you enjoy, but as something in return, maybe you can help me name this bow. What do you guys say? So can each and every one of you think of a name in like 15 seconds? I know it's hard to think of something in 15 seconds. But write something in the chat, in the Zoom group chat, what you think will be a nice name for Pernambuco. Okay, this is not Brazil wood. This is Pernambuco, so it's high quality. And I'll talk more about that if you're interested in what makes Pernambuco wood a good choice. So if everybody can just think of a name for me and say it in the chat. And if you're someone who's from a different part of the country and you know some cool words in another language, that'd be pretty cool too. You know, like ooh, see that's what I'm talking about, Bruno. I don't know what that means, but it looks cool. The lamp. I don't know what the squiggly over the A means, and I'm not going to try to say it, but it just looks cool. Mardi Gras. There you go. I have a lot of Mardi Gras stories from my friends at school, from past time. So maybe that could be for another class. He was a national hero from Pernambuco. Now, I didn't know Pernambuco was an actual place in the world. That's something I did not know. I just thought Pernambuco was a type of wood.
It's a Brazilian state.
No way. Well, I don't really know. I just know Brazil. I don't really know the states in Brazil. I didn't know Brazil had states. And people probably from Brazil don't. I don't know. Actually, I feel like a lot of people know that the United States has states because it has the word state in it. So I don't know. Carnival, since it's a Brazilian wood and it's also a fiesta. I didn't know that. Zeal. I really like the word zeal. Really like the word zeal. I think that will connect with a lot of gamers because for those of you, and I play games too. A long time ago, I played League of Legends when it first came out. So I'm not, yes, I know. And a lot of you know that zeal in League of Legends is it's an item that allows you to hit people real fast. So
it's a crit item.
It's a crit item.
Yeah, it's a crit item. I play too, man. Sorry.
Awesome. We got some gamers in here. So yeah, that's actually a name I might consider. I really like Zeal. We have Asaf would go for Bruno's. What's Bruno's? Lampe. Let me write that down. So we have Zeal. We have Elite. That's pretty cool. Siesta. Celebration. So Lamp. Pronounce it Lampion. Okay. We are a federation, just like the U.S. Got it. Sugarcane. The sugarcane bow. The sugar bow. The Zesta. I like that. Zesta. Sergey says play Dota 2. All right. I see your Dota 2. Bonanza. The Bonanza bow by Xavier Foley. I don't know, man. That seems like I'm trying too hard. Bonanza. Shura. Shuriken. Yule. Foley's signature. So some of you in this chat have not suggested a name. Gabe, I'm going to start calling people's names out. Jordan B, I haven't heard from you. Bron Khan, I haven't heard from Bruno. Delmar, Delmar. EDU, Gabe, Giselle, Gus, Harry. It's always the same people in the chat. Come on, guys. Give me a name. Jamie, Juka, Lewis. Heard from Mark, Robin, Samuel. Heard from Sergio, I haven't heard from you. Heard from Theo. I'm not sure what that means, Sergi. Mariusa. Zoe. You're Russian, right? Privyet. Privyet. Sonar. That's a radar, isn't it? An underwater radar. Emote. The emote bow. If there's a fancy word for emote, I'll take it. The Woody. The Woody. I have the Woody bow. Affection. Sejong. Sejong, I know a guy named Sejong, actually. Sejong Park. He's a pianist. Oh, you said Maverick? Come on. I'm a very big fighter jet guy. So when you say Maverick, that hits home. The Maverick is that's the Top Gun, right? The F-14 Tomcat. You have the F-14A, the air-to-air, air superiority. You have the F-14B, the converted F-14A, which allows you to do air-to-ground. You have the F-14D, which is the Super Tomcat, which was canceled by Dick Cheney because he said it was 1960s technology. So the United States developed the F-18 Hornet, which developed into the F-18 Super Hornet. So I know a lot about jets. Love jets. Expression. I like that. I like the X because it has X in it. The audition winner. Hey, Xavier, what kind of bow do you have? What's the name of your bow? It's called the audition winner. Thank you very much. I don't know. I might seem too... yeah. Renegade. I like Renegade. Renegade. Motives. Bowie. Legolas the Clever. Legolas. Now, what's Legolas?
Legolas was an elf in Lord of the Rings. He never missed a shot, so it's like he never missed a shot like by himself. You know what I mean? Like every shot he took, he basically hit it. So it's
isn't that copyright?
Yeah, well, it's a name, but I mean, it can be.
Legolas. That's like if I name my boat Optimus Prime. I feel like I get sued. I feel like I get lawyers banging at my door right now. So, but yeah, I think that's an interesting one. Sergi likes expression. I'm gonna write expression down. Now, I have a hold on. So I have a lot of bows in my room. I have this new one that just came in. I was very curious as to what it is. It's a bow I never heard about. It's constructed. So this was made in New York City, and the material that's used for this one is composites. I'm not quite sure what that means, but it's supposed to be a new kind of carbon fiber. Let me just go to my website to see more information. See, what is this bow? Yeah, composites. So this is made of composites. So if anybody knows about that, I'd like to. I know carbon fiber is like, I don't know. I don't know too much about material. I just know carbon fiber is strong, but I don't know too much about composites, except they use that for airplanes because it's light. Mixture, really? Is that true? Anybody confirm that? Is composites a mixture of fiber and wood? I'm really curious because they have this new composite bow that's made by the Glasser company. So that's kind of cool. If you want a bow that's a mix of carbon fiber and wood, I have to try this out. I haven't tried it out yet. I have to make a video on that on YouTube. Cool. So I think the names I like is Expression with an X and Zeal. So it'll be one of the two. I'll send you guys an email, actually, with my decision. And what do you guys think a good price would be for a Pernambuco bow? Can't believe I'm doing this, but yeah. What do you think? $450? Now this is the Dorfler, which is expensive. It's like $800 for this one, and I want a lower cost solution. So I think $450 will be a good one for a lower cost carbon fiber bow. That's made in China. $500. Now the Fiesta is $300. I think it's going for $285 right now. I think. Let's go to my website. So the wood bow will be a little bit more because it costs a little bit more to make. So my Fiesta is $288. And the cost to make the wood bow is a little bit higher. So I think around the $450 to $5 is a good starting point. Well, what I might do is for everyone who wants to try a Pernambuco bow, who's maybe is using Brazil wood and wants to use something a little bit higher quality. Now, there's a reason why the Pernambuco is higher quality. It's because of the denseness of the wood, I hear. And I went to the Dorfler website to confirm Dorfler, to confirm if that's true or not. I mean, they're a pretty reputable company for bow making. And they're saying that the wood for Pernambuco is more dense. And I guess that equals better sound production. I'm not sure. I'm not a bow expert as far as like that kind of stuff. But if anybody has information on that, let me know. What is the 500 grains? Will sell well on the price for good wool. Okay, sure. Cool. So I have an idea of the price and I have the name. It'll probably be. I like Zeal. I really like Zeal because it's like an emotion. When people hear the word Zeal, what do you think? I think of like theory. Like, because the actual word zeal, let me see, energy, great energy, which is, I like that feeling. Yeah, Aaron, I'll send a discount for each and every one for participating in this class. Also, I think I was thinking for my schedule for the next class. First, I think I'll do more classes like these because it's very nice and it allows a lot of people from around the world to participate, especially due to these times. So I might do more classes and more frequently. So if anybody has any suggestions as to what the next class should be, also let me know. Oh, Diodario. I actually sell their helicore strings. Very familiar with Diodario. Thanks, John Ho. I like to sign up for one of your. Oh, okay. My next group class is on. I can make one on the 20th, which is Wednesday. I have time for that on the 20th. If anybody's interested in that. So the way that works is for group class, it's like a master class setting. So rather than just watching me play for an hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours and asking questions, what the group class will do is it will allow me to listen to you. So it's the other way around. And what I like about the group class, it allows not only me to give ideas, but other people who are also playing in that group class as well. Because I know a lot of people bring a lot of expertise that I don't have. I don't know all the answers. I have my own way in a philosophy of approaching the bass, but it's always nice to hear from others. So that's what the group class is. So you can play for around, I think it's around 23 minutes of playtime. If you're working on a movement, You can play a 5-minute piece, and we can talk about, how to improve what you're doing. And if you're interested in my philosophy of approaching music, which is to think about the sound first and then play it, we can talk a lot about how we do that as far as the process. This stuff just doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice, and it takes a mindset to learn about and to get used to. And so I can talk a lot about how we connect from the emotion from our bodies and our head, and how we emulate that in our bass playing. So for that, I priced that at $30 per person. And if you have a discount, you can use that as well. I know some of you have 50% off from that previous class. So, you can get it for real cheap. Yeah, Mark, I can set up a time for the 20th. And what I'm also thinking about is if not enough people sign up, and if it's just 2 people, then it'll just be split between 2 people. Okay, so there's always that. So there's a chance you'll almost get a real private lesson. So actually, I'll create it right now. So what's a good time zone? I know a lot of you are from like Russia, and I think the time in Moscow, I'm very curious. It's 11:53 p.m. right now in Moscow, so I know it can be difficult to have a lesson in Moscow. Some of you are from like Greece or somewhere, but I think a lot of people are in near the Eastern time zone. So, all right, Samuel, thanks for coming. So let me do this. All right, thanks, Sergio. So what I'll do is I'll write an email after the class is over with all this information about the bow, the Zio bow, discounts to the bow, discounts for classes, what the next class will be on. Maybe you can send me a Facebook message or something about what will be a nice topic to talk about next class. And I'll send everybody an email about that. And so make sure to check your email box, maybe tomorrow. But I think I'll wrap this up now, and it's been a pleasure for all of you that have attended this class. I really appreciate it, and thanks for helping me name this bell. And thanks for being a good audience. No hackers this time, but there were no hackers. But yeah, thanks Aaron, thanks Harry, thanks Sergi, thanks Theo, thanks for coming. Nice to meet you finally. Thanks Jiahong, thanks Gabe, thanks Vic Castorius. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Asaf. Thanks, Bruno. Absolutely, Asaf. Thank you. Thanks, Giselle. Thank you. I look forward to the masterclass. You're an inspiration for bass players. Absolutely, Aaron. Thanks for coming. And, all right, I'll end this now. Take care.